It has been a while since we chatted. It has been a while since we have spent some time together. I think now's that time. We have a lot to discuss. I am live right now from New York City, where it is snowing beautifully. I mean, a veritable cascade of feathery, whatever you want to call it. It's snowing, and I say to you, a hearty hello and a hi, silver, and a welcome. For those who are joining us right now, welcome. This is the Lionel Legal. What am I trying to say? The Lionel Legal channel. This is different than the Lionel Nation. Excuse me, I've just ate some nice farro. We are more of legal theories in a sense, but so many of them actually work together, where legal as usual and that sort of thing. So, I want to start with you with a couple of things. First, if you have not been paying attention to, or for whatever reason have missed, what is going on regarding Candace Owens and this attack. This is a story, so help me God. When it first started, I thought, how interesting is this? So what? I mean, it was sad. Charlie Kirk, yeah. Candace Owens, I thought, she's very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. I'm not really an acolyte of anyone. I thought she was very smart. I had some, I had some bit of a trepidation regarding the avenue she was taking regarding the Brigitte Macron case. That has changed for reasons that are unbelievably different. And it's not because anything that she did, but the lies of the media have not told you anything about this or what's going on anywhere. Why are they unable to tell you the truth? That's number one. We'll talk a little bit about Candace. We'll talk about war. We'll talk about the usual things that are going on and what's happening and since we last spoke in any particular order. So I've just got to tell you something. So when this started, I thought I wasn't a big fan of the Brigitte thing. But then these people are so... you can only hope that if you're going to come up against an enemy, you hope they're a dumbass. You absolutely hope that somehow they are a dumbass. You hope that through some kind of, I don't know what, you hope that they just lose their minds and just make a mistake. For example, let's talk about Brigitte Macron. Now, you can say whatever you want. Do you think she's a man? Go ahead. Today, I believe, is Michelle Obama's birthday. And there's this thing, I guess it was a picture from Barack. It says, happy birthday, Miche. Maybe it was a trunky, maybe he did spell. I always think to myself, I think everybody's trying to give me a signal. See, you may think I'm just paranoid. I think everybody is trying to give me a signal. Everybody is trying to make me say, how do I say this? It's the wildest thing. How does this work? You know what I'm saying? And one of the things which I find fascinating is that the president, that Barack Obama writes, happy birthday, Miche, and he said it's kind of a nickname like Mish. It looks too much like Mike. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I'm not interested in that. It's not my thing. I've never been a big fan. But I'm asking myself, what is going on with this stuff? What? How can you be so? Why did somebody say this is stupid? Why did you? This is stupid. This is crazy. This is crazy. Why are you doing this? What bothered me the most about Candace, and I'll say it right now, is not the claims that she made regarding the gender, but other things as well. You see, that's the part that scares me. There's 20 counts or 20 counts. So that was that. But then what these people did was they decided to lock people up and charge people in France. In France. Locked them up. So whatever feeling of sympathy people might have had towards Brigitte, whatever any form of empathy is now out the door. I mean, out the door. So, don't be surprised now if you don't get either a voluntary dismissal with prejudice or some de minimis kind of some settlement that's not disclosed. I don't know, because it changed everything. So then she was okay, doing her thing. People did their stuff. I don't dislike. Sometimes I say to myself, I wouldn't handle this. Sometimes I think, hey, that fellow Nick Fuentes just made a good point. And then he comes out with this deliberately mean-spirited, hateful rhetoric about blacks or Jews. He does it because he wants to. And I ask myself, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? But anyway, nobody cares. It's no big deal. I don't worry about the personality part. So I comment on it and move on. Well, then it all changed. Then came Charlie Kirk. And that's it. It blew up. And Candace Owens went from here to here. Why do you think that is? What do you think, dear Hardwood? What do you think might have been the reason for that? What is the reason for this? Why did all of a sudden, during the Brigitte thing was okay. She was doing something with Kanye. She was, she was kind of like finding her way. And then she broke up with that creepy Ben Shapiro and the whole Daily went, okay, fine. So she was, but now, no. Now she has hit and she has created such an incredible cottage industry of people who've come out of the woodwork against her. And here's what I don't understand. As you know, I'm a big fan and always have been, and a good friend of mine is Alex Jones. But he and Ben Shapiro working together against her? What is this about? Now, if I didn't know better, and I have no reason to believe this, don't get me wrong, but if I didn't know better, I swear somebody's paying these people to do this because it's inordinate. Does anybody hear this? Do you get this? Do you understand this? This is the thing which is the most important. Do you understand? Do you grasp this, how this is important? I find this fascinating. Do you grasp this? Do you understand? Why do you think this is so important? Why do you think this is the way it is? Why? Tell me. Why? What do you think happened? What are the reasons behind this? What do you think were the change? What happened? This is which I find interesting. So anyway, all of a sudden things changed drastically. And it's one of those things which is the most absolutely incredibly bad. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, came this onslaught. It was unbelievable. Do you understand this? Unbelievable. It's just, it's like nothing I've ever seen. And then here comes Candace, and she does her thing, and she comments on one day. And then they create something by either denying it or saying something even more stupid. And then came the fight for TPUSA. And they bring in Ben Shapiro. I don't know about you. Ben Shapiro is a very smart young man. He is certainly a formidable contender, so to speak. But he is one of the most annoying people with a grating personality style that just pisses people off. Who in their right mind said, let's bring out Ben Shapiro? Why? So he goes after her. And they're calling her everything from an anti-Semite to a Nazi, and they're not holding anything back. Then they're calling her, she's into psychosis. They say that she's into psychosis because of her beliefs. Psychosis. Adderall. What was it? Now I don't know where this came from, but this is bizarre. Bizarre. Because what happens is, and I want to tell you something, never lose your sense of regulation. Never lose your mind in this. It's very easy to become so enwrapped in everything that you're angry to the point where you can't speak and you can't talk and you can't hear their voices and you can't believe them. Why? Why do you think that is? Why? How do people do that? Why do people do it? So anyway, to make a long story short, Candace Owens is bigger than anything. Joe Rogan is, in terms of numbers, that's without a doubt. But politically, Joe's very smart. He does things that he's really good at. UFC and his fascination with things, because he has an incredible sense of awe regarding a variety of subjects. I think he's terrific. But when it comes to this, and then we have Tucker. Now Tucker's over here. Tucker's maybe number 2, because he has learned, and they have learned, and I would tell somebody, if you want to get attention, go after Ben Shapiro or go after TPUSA and we can go through all this nonsense about what was the reason. Was it because, who was responsible for the dispatch? Let me ask you a couple of questions, very simply put. Does anybody here actually believe the honest to God story? Do you believe in the honest to God story as to the official narrative as to who was responsible? I got to be careful because this is YouTube, of Charlie Kirk. Do you believe this story? Do you believe Tyler Robinson? Who does? Anybody? Raise your hand. Anybody? Who believes Tyler Robinson? Anyone? Anybody? Anybody believe that? Do you believe this story? And if not, what about this story do you find problematic? Nobody does. You can't possibly, on so many levels. So anyway, then you got Tyler Robinson. Then you have somebody who may be second, maybe even creepier than Ben Shapiro, is Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk cannot, and I'm sorry that what happened to her husband, and I'm sorry about it, she's for her children, but she cannot possibly convey anything even resembling authenticity. And I don't know what the word is. Have you? I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. There is, sad to say. Then this Fort Huachuca thing, which I thought was the most unimportant thing, but they fought it. They fought it. And they went after this Snow fellow, and they went crazy. They brought his son in. His son basically verifies this. Candace starts off every day with, I can't believe this. You're making this even easier. It's incredible. So then you got Megyn Kelly. She's trying to figure her way into this whole thing. So you have created this new, like the top 10, top 5, as we discuss this. Now, meanwhile, what's going to be done to actually investigate the actual causa mortis, so to speak? Nobody, nothing. You think Ben? Do you think that Kash Patel is going to do anything about this? No. You think Pam Bondi? No. I heard there was a great meme that had Pam Bondi holding up Pam, this spray Pam, and it said nothing sticks with Pam, like the charge is sticking. So that's where we are right now. It blows my mind. So if you just like to follow, and for no particular reason, you don't have to have any interest whatsoever in Candace, or it's not about Candace. It's about people who try to say things that go against the grain. And I'm from Rush Limbaugh to you name it, everybody's crazy. Art Bell was crazy. This one's crazy. Now, sometimes we see things where people show personality disorders. They're not crazy. They're not mentally ill. They're not psychotic. They don't hear voices, but they show a they show an anger sometimes that I think is not warranted, or that is not commensurate with the particular issue, or it's not proportional to the issue at hand. So that's a thing too, and it's also created so much absolute hatred. It's the most incredible thing in the world. Now, you can also say, well, this is about distraction. This is about whatever. I don't know. We also have the president of the United States saying things that are just, by the way, great debate between Dave Smith and Dinesh D'Souza on Judge Napolitano's channel. Phenomenal. May I commend that to you? Dave Smith, I don't want to say, for a comic, I don't mean to say that, but Dinesh is no slouch. And I hope you see that, because they are over here in this realm. And what Dave is missing, and I want you to answer this question for me. I want you to assume arguendo, assume for the sake of argument, assume that tomorrow we were superior in the world. We were the number one economic power, military power. We took Greenland, we Venezuela, we control South America, we control the oil. You understand that? This is the most important thing in the world. This is the most fantastic thing. Imagine this, okay? Okay. Now, would you care about that? Would you care about that? Do you? By the way, could somebody help me with this? Anu, whatever says, y'all know she filed that speedy trial on September 16th. Say you're guilty without actually saying. Who filed what? Who filed speedy trial? What does that mean? A fellow says, it doesn't put food on my table. I don't know what that means. See, I love doing lives, except that half of the time when I stop and read them, I think, I don't know what this means. So I don't want to stop. I don't want to ignore you. But sometimes, by virtue of maybe the speed of this, the celerity of thought, maybe sometimes the inadvertent imprecision of just reacting, I don't know oftentimes what people are saying. So I don't want to seem rude by not responding, because I'm glad you're here. It's a live thing. I could have just taped this and recorded it. So I want to bring people in and have the feeling of communality, if you will. But I just don't. I go, Alex Jones, etc. MAGA nutbags, funded by ICE cash now. I don't know what that means. I don't know what all that means. Swamp says, it means that all the saber rattling in the world does not make it easier to provide for my family's needs. Is that the sole criterion for you to be interested in a subject? If that's true, you would care about no subjects whatsoever, because most of this has nothing to do with your family, with all due respect. I don't know what that means. So therefore, nothing really matters. Is that right, Mr. Swamp? Is that it? No, tell me something that directly affects your ability to provide for your family's needs. Tell me an issue that directly relates to that. I'll be waiting. I don't think there is. If it sounds good, and I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I don't know what that means. Again, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm just a stupid person. Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense? What is the major concerns Again, formulating. I don't know what that means. Again, I read these things. I don't know what they mean. I don't. I stop and I'm saying, stop reading them. The drummer. Oh, this is good. This is good. This is one of those things. You know, I got to tell you something. There's something so incredible about folks who honestly, and I mean this sincerely, folks who go out of their way to participate without participating. And I think that's wonderful. And God, how much I appreciate it with more, how do I say this? It means a lot, but I've got to ask the question, do folks really understand kind of what's happening here? I don't think so. So, and that's okay. And believe me, let me explain something also, which is important. Every time that we talk about this, every time that I do this, and every time that I realize this, and I say this with all due respect, and I don't mean to sound rude or discursive or whatever, but sometimes I really don't think I don't think there's a lot of thought that goes into this. Zigzag Ground Zero says ICE is giving money to push its narrative, aka government propaganda. ICE is giving money, just like Israel does. Again, and I ask this question, what does that mean? ICE is giving money to push it. What is its narrative? What is the ICE narrative? What is it? What is the ICE narrative? Edie says, some of us are on the lower rung of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, causing frustration. Does that clarify anything? No. But I appreciate that. It gives you, somebody say Maslow or Maslow, if you're cool. Obey, submit. That's from the meme. This is the Roddy Piper thing. Again, Zig, I love you, man, or miss, but you're just spouting little glyphs and little things of whatever. This it's kind of like to amuse yourself, and that's fine. But this doesn't help any kind of a. Is there anyone who has a sentence that can be read by everyone and immediately understood? Is there anybody who can write a sentence that is not just a reaction, but that is a thought, completely self-contained? Let me ask you this question. I'll make it simple, class. Do you believe that ICE is guilty or should be liable in the of Ms. Good in Minnesota? Is ICE guilty? How's that? I'll help that one out. Is ICE guilty? That's easy. You can put 1 for yes, 2 for no. Is ICE guilty? Is ICE guilty? ICE is guilty. Yes, ICE is guilty. Okay, this is good. Zigzag. And Zigzag will tell us why. Okay. Swamp says no. So that's good. We have one. Who would like to provide a sentence to explain either why ICE is guilty or why ICE is not guilty? Or maybe perhaps she was. Why is ICE, quote, guilty? Did ICE violate any rules or law? Okay? Any law that you're aware of. Anyone. Did ICE violate any laws? If they didn't violate any laws, then you could still find them. Perhaps you might say, professionally they were not correct. But did they violate any laws? Any laws you can imagine? And what laws would be applied? I would say start with 18 U.S.C. 111. And then Tennessee against Garner, 1985 Supreme Court case, which gives absolutely the fleeing felon rule is pretty much abrogated unless it is to prevent somebody to stop imminent death or great bodily harm. When this woman in the SUV veered off and was heading towards whatever, especially after it hit, and you can say whatever you want, it hit the ICE agent, didn't kill him, but just, and you have a split second. I am telling you that under the laws, under 18 U.S.C. 111, the officer is within his right to do so. That was interfering with, obstructing, or opposing a federal agent. There's no doubt about this. Now, it may be tragic, and I'm sure it was tragic, and I'm not one of these people who just jumps on her and yells at her and doesn't like her because she's a lesbian or her looks, or maybe she was. I hate that. But this is a very serious thing. And may I also suggest to all of you wonderful, great people, please protest all you want. ICE is quasi-military. These are armed people. These are not individuals who are as worried about law enforcement as one might think. They're not into stopping and Miranda and that sort of thing. Zig says it's covering up the investigation. It's covering up the investigation. What is? And has the president called Renee Good family to express their condolences? Who thinks the president should call the Good family to express condolences for her untimely death in the course of this? Who do you think perhaps should be? What should the president say? What do you think the president should say? Should he call up? Honestly? Should the president call up and say, now I'm not going to admit any kind of culpability, which you will use later in a lawsuit against the government. I'm not going to do that. But do you think the president should honestly call up and say what? We're sorry for what? What are you sorry for? Let me ask you folks a question. Maybe you can help me with this. Maybe you can help me with this. I was wrong. That's what he should say. The president should say, I was wrong. Okay, Zig. I thought you were serious there. My mistake. I stand corrected. Have you ever heard of these stories where somebody will traverse the gate or a fence and go into a zoo, and there'll be a bear or something, and the person will go in and will confront this animal that was behind a wall, but the person climbed over it and attacked the animal and was ultimately mauled and dispatched. Nobody seems to feel any kind of sympathy. And the reason why is they say, well, you kind of asked for it yourself. You asked for it. You know what I mean? They say it's tragic. You had a life, maybe you were drunk, but the point is you asked for it. When you are involved in something where you say, I'm going to be a part of something where I'm going to deliberately stop this is authorized. How anybody, if you don't think Barack Obama was probably one of the greatest proponents of this type of measure of anyone, and he said it specifically, Bill Clinton as well, nobody seemed to complain. But when you have this story, you have this situation, and you put yourself in the position of I guess, setting yourself up, meeting, planning, becoming kind of rogue, you're going to stop. You're going to go after ICE agents. You're not stopping deportation. You're targeting federal agents. Again, you're not stopping deportation. You're not doing that. You're targeting. If I were to target postmen, mail carriers during the draft years, if I were to do that, then in essence, what I'd be doing is I was saying, I'm going to meet people and I'm going to interfere and I'm going to target these people. I'm protesting the war, but I'm going after postmen instead. And I'm going to take my car and I'm going to turn it into it. And if I hit one, what are you going to do? Now, if you think that makes sense, if you don't think that is, what do you think is? And the word terrorism is a very, very tough word. And I will agree that it normally is not enough to do something wrong. The purpose behind it is to instill fear. But one could say it does instill fear on the part of law enforcement personnel. So the bottom line is simply this, and I think this is very, very critical. Very, very, very critical. What's important to note is that it's very easy to turn slogans and that sort of thing. But one of the things which I think, believe it or not, you should be very careful of, is don't do things because it seems to promote the notion, this theater of outrage. That doesn't work. That's not a good idea. And very frankly, it's already forgotten. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think there were no riots? Give me a word or a sentence and try to be, if you could, clear. Why do you think there were no riots? Why? Anybody want to weigh in on that one? Let me ask you a different question. Phrased differently. If Ms. Good had been a black man, would there have been riots, yes or no? Very simple question. Not meant to be crass. Ask a question, yes or no? Think about it. It's a fascinating question. Does it matter who the victim is? Yes. Does it matter the issue, who the victim is? I will tell you this, that had he been white, black man, Ben Crump and others would have been there, absolutely, positively, 100%. There would have been a problem. It would have been an attempt to resurrect George Floyd. It would have been perfect. It didn't matter who the person was, criminal record, or whatever, because the economics of protests today are completely different. Minnesota is turning into squalor. Minnesota is turning into absolute horror, like nothing you have been able to even understand. Friends of mine, one friend in particular says he can't believe what's happening, cannot believe the destruction and how this, I don't want to say infiltration, but how it is basically turned into this radicalized, like little Mogadishu enclave. And it's like nothing anybody's ever seen. And they want to draw the federal government into it because guess how many police officers there are in Minnesota? In Minneapolis, I should say. About 700. About 700. They brought in about 2,000 ICE agents. 700. The police aren't doing anything. The president next will be issuing the Insurrection Act, which has been done before. Because if you are part and parcel, if that mayor and that governor are trying everything they can to foment and to incite problems to bring about this societal change, the president is not going to sit back. Now, this is true. Whether you like it or not, it's a story. You understand this? And this is the problem that people have to understand. And I'll leave you with this. Most people have no interest in getting to the bottom of this, or Candace, or wherever. And I appreciate this, and I certainly appreciate you and being a part of this. But most people really, this doesn't interest people. And you can tell sometimes by the level of discussion and the level of thought, not much thought was placed. It's almost like bumper sticker. Just say a word here or there and then move on. This isn't something that really grabs people's attention because deep down inside, most Americans know this is really not something that people should be involved in. This isn't protest. So, my friends, I thank you so much. I wish you have a great and a glorious day. Thanks so much for joining us. And for those of you who answered cogently, I thank you. And for those of you who didn't, well, better luck next time. See you next time, my friends. Monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.